Might be able to break it free. Oh, that sounded good. Hey, look at that. I'm Mike Dimas, and this is Pinball Shenanigans. All right, we're nearing the finish line on this Galaxy project. It's coming along nicely. It's been quite the ride thus far. Lots of hacks and lots of fixes, fun with sound, rectifier boards, solenoid drivers, CPUs, LEDs, drop targets, pop bumpers, lane guides, and other miscellaneous fun stuff. Today is flipper rebuild day. See how far I can get with that. I've got all the parts in theory, as long as my flipper bats that I ordered are the correct ones and fit and work. And then the final piece of the puzzle will be putting on the back glass, which is stored safely in my bedroom. So I kind of forget the condition that it's in. I think it's pretty good. I'm going to guess it's probably 7 out of 10, if my memory serves me right. But let's take a quick peek at the flipper situation as it is right now. Alright, so this is what I'm up against. Someone at some point installed 2 new coils, and I double checked and they are the correct coils, so that is a good start. My flipper kit comes with new plungers, links, springs, end of stroke switches, coil stops, and sleeves, which the ones that came with these new coils are probably not that bad, but I'll probably change them anyway. The main thing is this wiring here that's a little bit hacky, and the soldering is not very good, but just the way that it is done is just weird. So I'm gonna have to sort that out. Probably use new end of stroke switch wires. Like, I'll cut new ones from, these are just short, and it'd be nice to have a little bit more slack. Same with this side. It's just not much play there. I'd like to have some room. So I'll cut some new wires with more length, and the main concern is, are the holes for the coil stops, are they stripped in the bracket itself? Just realized this coil stop and this coil stop are different. This might be more of a Bally style and this might be more stern, or vice versa. So that's what they look like now. Pretty filthy. You know, if I want to, I can clean up the crud around the playfield as well, or on the playfield. I might take the brackets right off these things and put them right on the bench and make for a much easier job instead of working on this angle. Let's take a quick peek at my flipper kit. Okay, here's the flipper kit. I had 2 of them, and as I tore them apart, my label got completely roached, so that's not much help. But here is the goods here. Okay, so this copper one is the stern style. This is a different style plunger and link, isn't it? This is plastic rather than Bakelite. And we got our sleeves, got our end of stroke switches. Come on now. Get out of there. And our springs, which are stuck together for the moment. There we go. So there's a small end and there's a big end. The small end goes there, so it kind of like hugs this end of the plunger, like so. And then I gotta remember, these spacers are for the flipper bats. Stern did that, Bally did not. Let's bust this open, one moment. Okay, so here's the nylon spacers. Got all new screws. Let's see if they actually fit on this shaft here. Yep, we're good. Okay. The trick is to try and install the flipper bats without losing these friggin' spacers, because you forget that they're on there, and when you are adjusting and tweaking and removing and installing and removing and installing, these things go flying. I really try hard to lose them. So far I've managed not to, so I'm gonna try and keep that streak alive. I really feel like I want to get this spring on here. Come on now. There we go. Now the world is happy. Okay, so that's the flipper rebuild kit. I'm going to start removing the old bracket. Actually, I think I'm going to check out Pinball, my Stern Magic flipper situation. And then I can get an idea of how those end of stroke switches are wired and make sure I wire it up properly. Okay, here's my Stern Magic. I did a flipper rebuild on this, and that's a little better. That's how that's supposed to look. Lots of slack. These wires are actually a little bit brittle. I guess I didn't cut new ones for this. And then this side here, so there's all my wiring, how everything should look. Here, there's the after. I could have just showed you this and told you that was the after, and I could have been done and just cheated, but no, I'm gonna actually have to do it. So time to get started. Houston, we have a bit of a problem. Hey, that works with the space theme pinball machine, actually. As you can see, I got half a bracket, and one half is held in by that screw and that screw. And I've got more to show you. So I'm going to remove those screws and show you what I found. Alright, everything is removed. I just snipped all the wires, removed the solenoids. Definitely a little crusty. I haven't really rebuilt flippers this way before, but I just wanted to clear everything off and kind of start from scratch. So I think I will kind of clean up this area just to make it look a little more presentable. It's pretty dirty, but I'll show you what I've got on the bench. Okay, this is the right flipper, and we've got worn coil stop. It's not really too mushroomed, actually. These were the screws that were holding it in, and I believe this is thick enough that it was actually into the play field, through the coil stop here, through the metal plate here. I think that's longer, and it's wood screw too, so. And then this little puny guy, not sure how much good he was doing. So the coil is fine. I'm okay with that. This is the sleeve. I'll change that. But here's the doozy. The flipper bracket is broken right at this little corner here. It's just that little spot there. Now, I don't think I had this issue on Magic. Actually, I know I didn't. But I do feel like this could be a pretty common issue of these types of flipper brackets of this era. I imagine these are not the first two to bust right in that spot. So, and what I also found is the same thing on the left side. Broken in the very same spot. And wood screw into coil stop with little baby screw as the other screw that was supposed to be doing something. I can't imagine that did much of anything. Again, we got the whiteout on the coil wrapper there. I'm not really sure why. It's a 25-500, 34-4500. That is the correct thing I need. I wonder if this is just like a different part number was written down there and it was whited out. Because what is this? 51 2150. What is that? Is that like a Chicago coin part number? And then this is your Bally part number, and maybe this was like a equivalent Gottlieb number or something. Anyway, don't matter. But yeah, this is a bit of a conundrum here. I could go over to my Meteor and see if it has better looking brackets that I could steal from it, my Parts Meteor playfield. Or I could look online and see if they are available to buy these, and maybe they're like an improved design. I'm not so sure I want to reuse these. It's not really critical, because there's one screw here and one screw here to hold it to the playfield. Maybe that hole there too. And then 3 holes here to hold that to the playfield. So as long as it's secured very well in place, it should be fine. But, you know, I don't really want to use these broken parts if I don't have to. So we'll see what I figure out here. Anyway, Gottlieb flipper bats. We don't need those. And it's not even the correct rubbers that go on them. These are too wide Gottlieb flipper rubbers, supposed to fit in the groove, man. These do not. So, wrong part, wrong part. One of these coil stops is a wrong part. And the screws are definitely incorrect. So, that's where I'm starting with. It's going to be a little bit of a battle on this guy. Okay, first step, the easiest step, basically, is just giving the playfield a little bit of a clean. It's better than it was. And while cleaning, I noticed something that we must investigate a little bit further. What is going on here? Looks like the original hole is stripped for this bracket here. And someone made a little adapter to hold that in for the ball trough switch. So, not sure I love that. I think I might remedy that. Fill the hole with wood glue and toothpick, and then put a proper screw in there. So I think I'll do that next. Alright, the hole didn't really seem that stripped. So I stole the screw from here and stuck it in here, and put the screw that was here, stuck it there, and they're definitely different lengths and different thicknesses. So even if it was stripped a little bit, this screw is a little bit bigger and longer, so it's bit in there pretty good. Got some wood to bite into, and yep, so that's taken care of. Another hack remedied. Okay, I haven't found new brackets just yet, Marco or Pinball Life, but I did find this is the full flipper assembly for classic Stern machines for 65 bucks. Practically plug and play, right? This is kind of tempting. And the issue is that is for kind of newer Stern games, and Galaxy is not on that list. But then you scroll down a little further, and this says that these assemblies can be used on earlier Stern machines, but the mounting holes do not exactly match up to the new ones that will be required for this assembly, which is fine, because the holes I have in my playfield are probably stripped and need filled and glued and wooded. But it says there's a caveat here: a different flipper bat and shaft will also be required if this assembly is installed in an older Stern machine, due to the fact that the flipper base on this assembly pulls the entire mechanism further away from the underside of the playfield. The extra distance requires the flipper bat to have a longer shaft, so Note that this longer stern flipper bat shaft has a slightly different shaped plastic bat when compared to the later model stern machines that use this flipper mechanism. Okay, I don't care about that. The bat is compatible with this flipper mechanism. Oh, the bat that is compatible is this guy. I haven't looked this up yet. This guy right here. Okay, classic stern one-piece flipper bat assembly. So that would add another $7. So, you know, that will add up pretty quickly. What did I say, 65? So 70 times 2 is 140 US. It's going to cost me probably darn near $300 Canadian by the time it gets shipped and I pay my taxes and everything. So that is not my favorite option at the moment. I got to wrap up for tonight, but maybe tomorrow I'll go check out my Meteor Parts playfield and see if there's like a $0 option. Okay, I'm at storage into the playfield graveyard here. And let's see what we've got on my Meteor playfield here. Do you have any of those lane guides? No lane guides in this game at all. Anything else that I need while I'm here? I can't think of anything. But lots of good parts like posts, star posts, screws, metal posts, stand-up target if needed. Original drops. Oh, look, these are different. It's got the little flat tops, and these are tombstone style. So I wonder if those ones were replaced at some point. Okay, that answers the question. So probably my galaxy spinner is from a meteor. That makes sense. Okay, here is what I am after. These flipper brackets, do they look like... Look, that one is not broken. And this one is not broken. Okay, that's really good news. Screw holes for the coil stops may be stripped. Actually, that one looks like it might not be. Very good. Okay, so for fun, I can take a couple photos of these two just to have some extra reference for the wiring. Oh, except all wires are orange on this guy. Oh, and that's broken off. This is broken off. So that might not be all that helpful. But I think we got some good flipper brackets. Okay, good. So I'm going to remove those. We've got two different style flipper bats. Those are really filthy, but they're not broken. They could, in theory, clean up if I needed to, but look how long this one is. This has got extra length to it. That's probably more original. Anyway, I'm gonna remove these guys and bring them home. Okay, so here's the good news. I got one good bracket off, and stealing a couple pop bumper brackets too. Oh, these, was I looking for 26-1200? I had the 1700. Okay, so I was thinking I was getting those coils that I didn't have, but I think I do have these. Anyways, I'll bring them home, throw them in the pile. But here's the issue I've run into. This set screw came out fine, but this set screw was already broken off in there. So I cannot remove the flipper bat. So I'm gonna have to come back with like a Dremel tool and slice the flipper shaft right in there with like a Dremel wheel. That's about the only way I think I can get that guy off. So that's the last thing stopping me from grabbing this guy. So at least I got one side done, and then I just gotta fight a little more to get this guy off. Okay, I am back at the storage unit. I come armed this time with my Dremel cutting tool. So I'm going to try and cut this shaft right in half so I can get at my bracket. I can't do this one-handed, so wish me luck. I think I'm making progress. Almost feel like I could wrench this off. Might be able to. Cut it just enough. Might be able to break it free. Oh, that sounded good. Hey, look at that. I wonder if I can even reuse the bushing there. I might not have screwed it up too badly. All right, we got bracket number 2. Okay, finally back in the basement with the 2 new brackets. I like this option much better than the $300 plug-and-play variety from Pinball Life, although I do love the plug-and-play option. I love that they sell those complete flipper assemblies. They're just pricey, and shipping is expensive, and so is tax. Here's the flipper bat. Oh, where'd you go? That I had to cut in half to save the part. I did nick into the coil, the bushing there, but I have got other bushings I can use. And for whatever reason, these are Phillips screws, and the other 3 are all just flatheads. So maybe someone changed this once upon a time. But yeah, I got all the parts I need now, I think, to make 2 good flipper mechs. So here we go. Okay, I got me a good bushing with 3 good screws. Here is the bracket. We had to WD-40 these screws. They're a little bit rusted on there. But this is the before. Have a good look. It's not even that flat, too, so I'm going to flatten that out a little bit. See, it's a little arched. And even this coil stop, because it was a bally coil in here, I think the coil was just a little bit shorter than the stern one, so this was forced out of its 90 degree. So that is garbage, but I believe at least these threads are good, so I can reuse the threads. Maybe I can retap them just to be safe, but there's the before on this guy. And yeah, so I stole the bushing from here, the old bracket. This bushing is garbage because I dremeled it, and this flipper bat is also garbage. Anyway, I just wanted to show a little bit of the before, because hopefully in 10 minutes or so this should be nice and shiny. Alright, well, that wasn't 10 minutes because I decided to put the whole mech together. So I managed to turn all this pile of parts and rebuild kit, new bracket, into a nice, shiny flipper mech here with pretty much new everything. And I did have to add one of these spring washers because it was a little bit loose. There's a little bit of space there, but these new screws did thread in perfectly, so that's great. I'm not sure about the other bracket, how that one's going to go. I think time will tell, but I'm very happy with how this turned out. Going to have to fill the holes in the playfield because I'm pretty sure they're stripped before I screw this guy in. And even before I do that, I think I'll work on flipper mech number 2. Alright, the other flipper is complete. I did have to retap these holes with my little kit here. And these screws
seem to tighten up nice, so I feel like that's going to be good. And also these 2 screws that I pulled out that were the Phillips, I pulled out from the flipper bushing. These are wood screws. They're supposed to be, you know, machine screws. So I was a little concerned about those threads. So I rethreaded these 3 screw holes, and that bushing went on there nice as well. So everything's happy. Lots of new parts, new wires. Here's the old end-of-stroke wires. And this was the spring that was on there before. So that was someone's custom jobby. This coil stop in 2 pieces. And, oh, I also noticed this could have been a disaster. Check this out. Someone replaced one of the bushings, and they are not the same length. And you can see this one has a little bit of an indent on the end. I just assumed all the bushings were original sterns, so I was like desperately checking my first flipper mech to see if I put in the wrong bushing, and then would have had to take it all apart to put in the correct bushing. But fortunately, I've got the correct bushings on both. No little indent there. And no indent there. So both these guys should be good to go. Let's put them together and see how pretty they are. Alright, so this is the graveyard. There's some salvageable parts there, but, you know, a lot is garbage. And then we move over to the finished products. Look at that. I'm pretty happy how that turned out. So next thing I have to do is fill the holes in the playfield so that these guys can bite into something. So that's next. Okay, I got these holes filled up with toothpicks. There's only supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4 per bracket. But since they were in half, we got an extra 2 holes here, and then a little tiny hole to help hold the bracket in place. On this side, there's an extra 2 holes. You know, they did what they could to try and keep the bracket in place. And, you know, I think this should give enough bite to these screws. Once these dry off, I'll snip them off and screw in my mix. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and fix my white water reset issue. Alright, I just had to reseat those power connectors, and game played perfectly. Just one of those WPC things. Eventually, I'll have to replace the male and female connectors on this guy here. I already did that to this guy, but maybe this guy needs that same treatment. While I wait for glue to dry, I'm going to repin this connector here. It's the power going in to the CPU on my Stern Magic, which every once in a while will crash. So I'm going to start with this. Kind of a shotgun approach, but I already replaced the coil on the flipper and checked them, and it's not like a bad coil on the flipper, which is usually prime suspect. So I'm gonna just do this for good measure. Doesn't look too bad. I'm not sure what this crust is. Maybe old tape, probably old tape. And those pins look okay, but I gotta wait for glue to dry, so we'll give this guy a refresher. Alright, them's the old pins. None of them appeared to be broken or didn't fall apart when I removed them. But they all have been replaced and are nice and shiny now. Cleaned up the male headers a little bit with some 600 grit sandpaper. And now I can, whoa! Drop my light. I can play test few games here and see what happens. In the meanwhile, my glue should be dry. Okay, brackets are on.
run with one minor caveat. It wouldn't be pinball shenanigans if I didn't tighten the friggin' wire underneath the bracket, thereby it not actually being flush, and now I need to remedy that, and yeah, so there's that. Alright, getting closer. I've got the flipper bats and cranks installed, and I haven't adjusted the end of stroke switches yet, but these are not, the flippers are not aligned perfectly yet, but you know, I've got them dry fit in there. They're looking good, feeling good. Alignment seems fine. I just got to deal with this wiring now. Might be a little short. I might need to add. We'll see. Might be able to work around here with this one blue wire, pull that out of the loom and get what I need, but we're getting there. All right, there we go. We got the wiring taken care of, and it wasn't that bad. I just had to mess with the little wire clips, pull the wire out a little bit of the loom. I got myself enough slack to make it happen. Same with this side. Pulled the wire that goes from the fuse directly and completely out of the loom altogether, so it goes straight from here to here. That gave me enough room. This wire is a little bit tight, but I moved the bracket over a little bit. Got an extra 1/4 inch out of the deal, and I'm happy with that. So wiring is all taken care of. Next is tightening the flipper bats, adjusting the end of stroke switches, and I can finally be done with flippers. Hallelujah, I am finished with the flipper rebuild. Feel like it took me like a week, but it is done. I like my alignment, it is nice. I still have yet to test the flippers and the wiring and make sure that's all correct. Had to do a little finagling to make sure I got half decent travel here between the lane guide and the flipper bat. There was some pretty nasty ball hop where it would hit the butt of the flipper and literally the jump over to the other side. It was not good. So to fight that, I raised both flippers a smidge and pushed these lane guides up as much as I could. I actually had to remove this one and redo this hole with the toothpick and beef that up and give it a little more meat. It's in there pretty solid now, and ball hop is about as good as I can get it. And the alignment I'm happy with. Both have the same amount of play in terms of up and down, which is pretty much nothing. They feel good. End of stroke switches are adjusted, and I think I am done for the night. So we'll have to test these bad boys and do a proper gameplay test on the next video. So this one might have been a long one, I'm not really sure. I recorded over the course of a week pretty much, so that's why it felt like it took me a week to get these things done. So I'll piece it all together tonight and hopefully have this posted soon for your viewing pleasure. Thanks for watching.